My number one tip for safety for buyers and sellers in the Omicron COVID market. This week on The Brian Murray Show. Welcome to The Brian Murray Show, a real estate show New Jersey style. Today's discussion point is my number one tip for buyers and sellers in today's Omicron COVID market. It's different than it was in 2020, even the beginning of 2021. Where, when there wasn't a vaccine, people were even more cautious than they are right now. But having said that, nobody wants to get sick, and people are still very, very cautious of going into someone's home or having people come into their home. So let's talk about some of the things that a seller can do to protect themselves and the buyer. I have a Safe Home Views system that I use, and my group, the Murray Property Group, uses for sellers, especially during open houses. Yes, booties or remove shoes to take that part of things away. Yes, everybody wears a mask. Yes, there's hand sanitizer that is available for everyone. Those are all great things. Now, during open houses, sometimes there's a lot of people. I just did 2 open houses this weekend. Each weekend, total, there was 35 to 40 people that came through the open house in a 2-hour period. So that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people opening closet doors, opening cabinet doors, that kind of thing. So yes, I had someone come in after the open house and wipe down with the Clorox wipes the cabinet doors, the doorknobs, the light switches, anywhere somebody would likely touch, so that when the seller comes home, they know, hey, wow, even in a regular market, right? You don't want like, people touching stuff and then you touching it. You don't know if they're sick with the flu or COVID or whatever, right? I mean, little kids with their grimy hands, that kind of thing. I want everything clean. So that's that. But then, here's the number one tip. Here's what separates the pros from not the pros. We bring in a hospital-grade ICU air purifier. It's 3 feet tall, it's about 1.5 feet wide cubed, so it's a big box. It can run 1,000, 1,200 square feet. You hit that button, and it sucks the air out with the HEPA filter, 99.99 blah 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 microns and everything else. I mean, it's what they use in the ICU, and it cleans everything. So I get 35 people coming through, there it is. It's clean. When my seller comes home, it's been running then during the open house, and then I crank it up afterwards for another hour or so. They come home and it is clean as a whistle. The air is probably cleaner afterwards than when they left. And that's what I mean about taking extra precautions during this time. Everybody needs to be safe. Everybody needs to feel safe. Why would you go out and look at real estate if you didn't feel safe? I mean, honestly, do you really need a place to live that bad that you would risk your health? And the answer to that is no, for most people. So we want people to feel safe and be safe. This is today's discussion point. This is Brian Murray with the Hoboken and Jersey City market report for January 18th, 2022. As you can see, inventory levels have not really risen past the bottom right between Christmas and New Year's. We're really not seeing a whole lot of homes that have come back on the market in either Hoboken or Jersey City, and it's been 2 weeks now, a little more than 2 weeks since New Year's. What does that mean for the future? Well, I can tell you that right now, if you are a seller putting your home on the market, in many cases, if you price it right, you're looking at a very competitive marketplace from the buyer standpoint. Many buyers, few sellers. It's a great place to be if you are a seller right now, before maybe the spring market where more sellers put their home on the market. And also, if you're a buyer right now, hey, you're kind of in a crunch because there aren't a lot of homes on the market. The ones that do come on are going to be very, very competitive in terms of a number of buyers. And then you have this looming interest rate hike that the Fed is talking about. So, you pretty much have that axe hanging over, that sword hanging over your head, and you're feeling the pressure with all of the other buyers. The question is, when the music stops, who's going to have a chair and who's not? Or who's going to have a home and who's not? So if you look at these numbers, last 30 days, it doesn't seem like, oh, there's a lot of homes that have gone under contract. Hoboken, Jersey City. But look, you're talking about the 2 weeks before the end of the year and the 2 weeks beginning of the year. The fact that you have this many contracts for the slowest 30-day period of the entire year should be a red flag here for buyers that, wow, it's not getting better here in the new year. I promise you things are not going to get better, and that for the next 6 weeks things are going to be super tight, and that when inventory is tight and there's a lot of buyers, that means small supply, lots of demand, upward pressure on prices. Watch it happen over the next 6 weeks to 12 weeks. Watch what happens. It's just supply and demand. If you have specific questions or want to know how to take advantage of the market, whether you are a buyer or a seller, right now today, reach out to me. The good, the bad, the ugly new high school in Hoboken edition. Now, as realtors, we are prohibited from giving our opinions on schools. It's prohibited. But we can talk facts, school rankings, how many miles is it from town center to the school, do they bus to the school, is it a walkable thing, that kind of thing. Only facts. So the Board of Education in Hoboken has put forth for a vote on January 25th a new proposal for a new high school in Hoboken. It's $241 million with a 30-year bond, so roughly, $330 million over the 30 years, plus maintenance, etc. It's about $500 per $100,000 of assessed value for Hoboken taxpayers. So, there's some tax increment there, and it translates into about $64,000 for every kid that goes through the building, just for the building, for the next 30 years. Every kid next 30 years, $64,000 per kid for the building, before teachers and books and that kind of thing. That's kind of laying it out in a nutshell. It's got swimming pool, hockey rink, a lot of science labs, football field, the whole thing. It's actually going to be built, if it goes through, where the current football field stands right now on 10th and Jefferson is essentially where it is, right behind Columbus Park. So the good, in my mind, is, look, I've been advocating for a new high school for 15 years. The current high school, it's got a picture of John F. Kennedy hanging in the auditorium because it was relatively new back when John F. Kennedy was president. Take that for what it's worth. I've seen shows there. I think that a new auditorium is certainly in law is needed based on the quality of the shows, which are top-notch shows, and the sound quality in that place is certainly not commensurate with that. So good that, hey, there is a proposal for a new school, because, certainly there's some space constraints in other parts, and there's a lot there. I think that the bad part of this is that this whole vote was kind of pushed out without real public comment before this proposal just to vote was ever out there. So really didn't give the public a lot of option or opportunity to comment, to give input as to what the community needed, what it may need something bigger and better, it might need less. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but the real ugly is that it seems to be dividing the community, and there's a lot of animosity there that, hey, if you're not for it, then you're not for the kids, and if you're not against it, then you don't care about the taxpayer, you don't care about those people in affordable housing that might have their rents raised because the tax increase is going to be pushed through, or you don't love the park the way it is with the light. And that's the ugly part, is that it's getting very personal out there, and it's unfortunate that it's come down to this. So we will see as we go forward, does it pass? Does it not pass? Is it sent back for a new vote with something a little bit different? But it is unfortunate that something that should definitely be uniting the community has had the opposite effect. So I'll leave you with a positive quote here from John Berryman in Napoleon Hill's Life Lessons. We must travel in the direction of our fear. That's a very interesting thing. It's like, I don't know what fears there are, but let's maybe try to do that in 2022. Thanks for watching The Brian Murray Show. As always, all full episodes of The Brian Murray Show can be found on my website, themurraypropertygroup.com, under the blog section. Please like it. Please share it. Please comment. You can find it on LinkedIn. You can Google My Business. I love Google My Business reviews. If you found anything here that you really liked or thought was informative with the weekly market numbers. Currently, my 2022 reports, 65 pages in Hoboken, 52 in Jersey City. Gives you a list of everything that's sold in 2021 as well. They are available for free on my website, murraypropertygroup.com. Just market reports. There you go. You find them under the blog section again. So, again, I do appreciate all of you following me, and look forward to some great info here coming up in the next year. If there's anything that you disagree with in the show, reach out to me directly, and I'll show you why you're wrong. Thanks for watching.